I, Bernard Ahiafor, do hereby swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give before this committee touching the matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you very much, First Deputy Speaker, Honorable Bernard Ahiafor, Member of Parliament for Akachi South. You did not watch the video. Our intention was for all witnesses to watch the video before we ask the question. But I know you were at the center of affairs. And so can you tell this committee what really transpired on the day of vetting, 30th January 2025, and in the morning of 31st January, Friday, 2025. Can you tell this committee what really transpired on that day, on those days?
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Honorable Chairman, I perceived members of the minority side to be putting up an attitude that is very disruptive. For me, I find it very difficult to go back on my words, having agreed with you, this is what we are going to do. Now, the whole thing started this way. We'll program the vetting, we'll all agree on the numbers. Sometimes, on the day of the vetting, instruction will be given to the clerk that the minority will be engaged in doing one thing or the other. So instead of 9 o'clock, the vetting should rather start at 10. And when it happens that way, the entire program for that day is affected. Affected in the sense that what you have to do between 9 and 10, you will not be able to do it. And then it carries forward. That resulted into a particular day where Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare was supposed to be vetted. We've given her every assurance that she is on the list to be vetted. It got to her. The minority side said they were tired, they wouldn't be able to continue the vetting. And I was trying to persuade them that in view of the fact that some revered chiefs came all along from Techima, we can endure and vet her for that day to enable them leave the following day. This has even brought Honorable Ayariga between the majority and the, so, I'll come to the actual.
No, we want to know what date are you talking about, especially the Honorable Ajare's story?
The date specifically, I'm not good at keeping dates, but it was the day. She was vetted the following day anyway. So when negotiations failed, we were compelled to go and apologize to the chiefs in the company of Honorable Mahama Ayariga. Then we had program from Monday to Friday. And on Tuesday, the committee's attention was drawn to an ostensible publication allegedly emanating from Mr. Oliver Baka Vomao. There were two posts. One was to the effect that the money that the nominees are paying to members of the committee.
I don't think you are interested in what happened with that.
Very well.
Right.
Very well. Then, when our attention was drawn to the media post, the committee instead of sitting, we'll have to recall to a conclave. Now, at the conclave, a decision was taken by the minority side that on that Tuesday, based on that post, there should be no vetting at all. And we had to more or less plead and prevail on them that in view of the fact that we had already invited the nominees who are here with the chief's opinion leaders, it would be unfair not to vet them. So we should go ahead with the vetting. Honorable committee members, if you go to play the video on that Tuesday, what we agreed upon.
Was it a Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Before Mr.
Vomawa on Wednesday.
Okay.
When we even resumed sitting, you could see the posture of the minority whip that we will not continue the vetting, banging the table. We will not continue the vetting that day. I employ the committee members to look at the proceedings on that Tuesday. So that was the posture. We had to permeate our way through to be able to do the vetting of the people selected for that day. Now at conclave, we agreed that Wednesday would deal with the issue pertaining to Oliver Baker Vomawa. Then thereafter, we'll continue to do vetting. Again, the posture from the minority side was that that Tuesday, there would be no vetting. That Wednesday, there will be no vetting on Wednesday. Life is all about give and take. As a result, we are not able to vet any nominee on Wednesday, and then we use the Wednesday to deal with the issues pertaining to Mr. Oliver Baker Vomawa. Though we closed early because of the decision that there was not going to be vetting, we then used the period to task the clerk with the responsibility to merge that Wednesday with Thursday. The nominees that are to be vetted on Wednesday that we couldn't do, she should merge it with Friday. And then let's look at the number. Now the number became 8. And at a meeting, we've decided that if on average we have to use 2 hours on one person, then that would have been 16 hours of sitting. It would have been too much. Given the fact that some people may be vetted within 1 hour, we agreed to do the first 6. First, it was the first 5. Then I received a call from Honorable Minority Leader that he is okay, we can add a candle to be taken on that day. Therefore, 6 people were programmed to be taken. Then there was an agreement that the backlog, being the 2, should be added to the following day, which is Friday. And if we are not able to exhaust, then we can take a decision whether we are coming on Saturday or it should be Monday or Tuesday. In fact, this has also brought in Honorable Mahama Ayariga, the leader of the House. And he even came out to say that clearly we need to negotiate the Saturday because Saturday is not a working day. So therefore, if you are not able to finish on Friday and we cannot come on Saturday, then probably Monday or Tuesday will be the next available date. So I was surprised that in the morning of that Thursday, the clerk came to me to say that instead of what we have agreed upon, she has received a text message from the minority whip in the person of Anodompre, which text message she showed to me that we are only going to do 4. That is why I have a difficulty. You agree on one thing, then behind you want to do another thing. I wasn't comfortable. So I just told the clerk that whatever we agreed upon, that is what we are going to do. So on that Thursday, we had programmed to start the first person at 9 o'clock. I came to office around 8:30. About 8:45, I received a call from the assistant clerk to the effect that he had received a call from Honorable Anodompre that there will be a caucus meeting of the minority. Therefore, instead of 9 o'clock, we should again start proceedings at 10 o'clock. For me, as a member of parliament, you may not have control over a caucus meeting. So when they are going to have a caucus meeting, I have no problem about it. So I have decided to walk to the chamber. Then on my way to the chamber, I met few MPs from the minority side and asked, I understand you are having a caucus meeting. Are you not attending the caucus meeting? Only for me to be told that there was no caucus meeting. So 10 o'clock, I have decided to start the vetting. And when they walk in after I have started, I told them in a plain language that I do not like the seat. We are all members of parliament. If you have a challenge of a caucus meeting, I would agree with you. But a situation where you do not have a caucus, but you deceive me in order to delay the proceedings of that day, to say that you have a caucus meeting, I won't take it kindly. And that is not the way we should be going. The response was that if they mean caucus meeting, it doesn't mean the entire minority caucus. As if I do not know the meaning placed on the caucus in our own standing orders. I took it in a good faith, and we were proceeding. I was surprised after vetting the Minister for Transport. Based on the agreement, I asked the Minister designate for Health to take his seat. It was there that I realized that we are tired, we will not do Honorable Akando. Akando will not be vetted today in a very rowdy manner. Based on my posture, I was engaging the minority leader to the effect that you said you are comfortable for Akando to be taken today. What has changed? What really has changed? Mostly the response will be that it is not me, I am under pressure. It's not me, I am under pressure. I'm also a politician, I understand. So I was making an attempt to persuade them that in view of the fact that Honorable Akando had to bring the chiefs and opinion leaders from Juaboso, and he being the last person, there are instances where vetting of the committee will end at 10, 10:30, 11. And this is just getting to about 8 o'clock. So we could accommodate and take Honorable Akando for that day, so that the rest of the 2 will be shifted to the following day. And if we are not able to finish the following day, then we could consequently adjust ourselves and finish the following week. Then what I realized was that whilst that negotiation was ongoing, I heard the minority leader requesting that they should call some people into the vetting room. And in no time, they started walking to the vetting room. And that very day, minority leader was so harsh to the deputy, second deputy whip, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. I intend not to repeat the words inflicted on him that very day. So I realized that they were under some kind of instruction from their leader to do certain things. Honorable members of the committee, let me place on record that there are some instances where my ranking member will ask their side that they should all stand up and put on the microphone. And by putting on the microphone, all other microphones will be disabled. And you cannot do anything when all the microphones were on. So to some extent, I do not really understand what they want. Because, honorable members, by my level of tolerance and the way and the manner I have accommodated them, sometimes I do not expect to be treated in a particular way. And as I said, life is about give and take. We were prepared to give and we were prepared to take. So I also expected them to also give and take. So before I could realize, somebody said something in tree and they started pulling the cables, and I mean there was a pandemonium. The whole place became very hostile. And if you can watch the video carefully, I was so much surprised about the incidents of that day, and I was just sitting down looking at them. As usual, the honorable leader came in trying to restore order, but they wouldn't listen. And once the video accounts is before you, I intend not to repeat whatever happened, because the video would speak louder than my voice. I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Bernard, I hope I'm allowed to call you.
Yes, please.
Bernard, because I might forget myself if I always have to say second deputy speaker, first deputy speaker. Congratulations again on your high office.
Thank you.
It's finished. So, colleagues, if you have some questions for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable First Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the committee. From the account that you have given, I think that there is a big problem about scheduling and then being firm about your scheduling. Would you want to agree with me that this whole problem came about as a result of the decision you took not to vet nominees who were scheduled for Wednesday? And you knew very well that these nominees had invited people, chiefs, their friends, their relatives, and whatnot. And yet, the committee was persuaded by the minority not to carry out vetting. And that is what actually created the congestion and the subsequent challenges that we have. I believe that.
Thank you very much for your question. I understand the impulse of your question. Honorable members, danger begets man. It is the cry of distress that will summon for relief. Our integrity as members of the committee were at stake. In the history of our Fourth Republic, every vetting cycle will be tagged with corruption. And I distate corruptions and corruption-related matters. So for the committee to be tagged with corruption, which I know it is not true, any reasonable person, guided by all those considerations that regulate the conduct of human affairs, would agree that we should deal with the issue affecting our image before continuing the vetting. And honorable members, on that Wednesday, I was with the view that we should deal with the issues relating to Oliver Baker-Vormawor. Then we can continue the vetting. If we are not able to exhaust all of them that day, then the backlog will be very, very few. But the posture was not favorable. Remember, I told the committee that when our attention was drawn to the post on Tuesday, our friends from the minority have already taken a decision that there would be no vetting until that issue was resolved. That was the reason for me asking the committee to take a look at the proceedings on Tuesday, particularly the time that we had to start the vetting on Tuesday. A lot of negotiation had gone into continuing the proceedings even on that Tuesday. So we were not successful in agreeing to do the vetting on Wednesday. And that has accounted largely to the backlog. So I will not say it has not contributed to the incidents, it has contributed to the incidents. But I have been in Parliament for a very long time. You can agree and disagree. Even before the committee, there were agreement and disagreement, and we normally suspend. So if you watch the proceedings, there are instances where I will suspend proceedings to go and judge. And even that morning, we did some kind of consultation, and then we agree on the 6 people to be vetted. So I was surprised what really changed when the very last person that you reach out to me to say that you are comfortable for him to be vetted that day. When I invited him to take the seat, then this whole thing have started. So between the time that they communicated to me that he can be added as the 6th person and the time that I invited him to take the seat, I do not know what went on among our colleagues at the minority side.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. We have a lot of questions for you being the chairperson, so please be concise and precise so that we can finish with you for you to be able to go and preside over the House. So please be concise and
Thank
precise.
you. Thank you very much.
Honorable Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My question, it's a twofold question. My first question is, at any point when the situation deteriorated, did you call for order? That's the part A. And, okay, first, that's the first question.
Yes, I did. You can hear me shouting, order, let there be order. Honorable members, let there be order, let there be order. So I was trying to restore order when word was said in tree, as a moon tree cables. I'm not good at tree. So immediately that has been said, they started pulling the cables, and my microphone was disconnected, and no matter how I shout, nobody can hear me.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My second question is, at any point after you tried to call for order and that was not happening, did you attempt to suspend the sitting of the committee?
Well, at that point, I really do not see the need. I thought by saying order, order, and engaging the minority leader and the ranking member on the side as to what has really changed, resulting into this. I thought the two of us could resolve it among ourselves and proceed to conduct the vetting. So whilst that engagement was going on between me and the minority leader, the key word came and they started pulling the cables and the whole thing just started. I do not know whether the rest of the minority members were having the feelings that my engagement with the minority leader will result into a calm and the proceedings ongoing. And that word spilled out and the whole thing became uncontrollable. I believed a little patience would have resolved the issue between me and the minority leader, but he also didn't have.
Thank you. So just to make sure, you did not call for a suspension of the sitting. Very well. My final question is, at any point, did the marshals enter the committee room on your instruction? Or did you call for the marshals to enter?
Yes, I asked my usher to bring in the marshal because I sit as a chair with my ears widely open.
Honorable Vincent.
Chair, good. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, would you be surprised that those who were involved in the scuffle, we had one person who was not a member of parliament, not part of parliamentary staff. Let me use the word, he was an imposter, yet he was a stranger, yet he was part of the scuffle.
Well, I won't be surprised. As I indicated, there was a voice saying, call them in. So I wouldn't be able to know exactly who were requested to be called in. And I must say that we have fresh members of parliament that I am yet to be familiar with. So it's difficult. Were requested to be called in. And I must say that we have fresh members of parliament that I am yet to be familiar with. So it's difficult to say this is a member of parliament, this is not a member of parliament. But I already told the committee that he said, call them in. And I wouldn't know who exactly were requested to be called in. So it is possible that there may be an imposter called in.
Yeah, Honorable.
Last one.
Sorry.
Just to ask if you recommend in future to beef up the security, especially around this activity, because looking at what happened and then what we have also heard, the number of people that come along with nominees, would you recommend that in future at least we put some limitation on the number of people that will come along with nominees?
Thank you very much. Exactly so. And I must admit that on this occasion, if you look at the letters written to the nominees, there is a maximum beyond which you must not go. That is 10. But I must say this has been grossly abused by most of the nominees. The letter says 10.
Honorable Bid. Question? Okay. Honorable Izara.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Speaker, since this is your first time of chairing the appointment committee, do you feel that minority showed some bad faith during this episode?
Thank you very much. I have been in minority. I see frustration on part of the minority because there were some external pressure on them, and that has resulted into them doing certain things that ordinarily should not happen. Mr. Chairman, if I may be give you a bit background. Honorable Emmanuel Amaboa was scheduled to be vetted on Monday. Then on Saturday in the evening, I received a call from the minority leader to the effect that some people are not too happy about the last State of the Nation address of the former president, particularly the words used by Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. They felt that the president has been denigrated. As a result, there was a pressure not to proceed to vet Honorable Amaboa. And I said, no, this will be real difficulty. I would find it very difficult to accede to the request, particularly if he has been written to appear on Monday. So I reached out to the clerk of the committee, and there was a confirmation that he had been handed over a letter to appear on Monday. So I called back to say that it's going to be very difficult. The event that unfolded resulted into the influencing the minority leaders' behavior towards the clerk. Because there was an issue to the effect that the clerk should take me as a chairman out of the arrangement to vet or not to vet Amaboa on Monday, Honorable Emmanuel Amaboa on Monday, and take the responsibility, take him also out, and then postpone Emmanuel Amaboa, which was difficult for the clerk to do. And I believe the minority leader is not happy about this. So I'm of the view that they were also under some kind of pressures informing the way they go about doing certain things. There was a pressure that Honorable Sam George should not be vetted. Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa should be the last to be vetted. So a lot has been happening.
Thank you very much, Honorable Enyimedu.
Mr. Chairman, this is the first time you are chairing a committee in this House, is that correct?
No, that is not correct, because I entered Parliament in 2013, and the very first post I was given was the Vice Chairman for the Judiciary Committee, and I have occasion of chairing the Judiciary Committee. Then in my second term, I became the Vice Chairman for the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, and you are aware that I've also been chairing the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. Then I became a ranking member for Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. So this is actually not my first experience chairing, but this is my first experience chairing the Appointment Committee.
Yeah, but what you said, the explanation you've given me, says that you were advised to some committees, but it's the first time you are chairman of a committee. Is that correct?
No, I was vice chairman for Judiciary Committee in my first term. So I had the opportunity to chair in the absence of the chairman. Then in my second
chairing a committee, but being holding the position of a chairman of a committee, this is the first time, because you were vice chair. I'm not saying this is the first experience of chairing a meeting.
Well, your word used is that this is your first time of chairing a committee. Chairing a committee is one thing, and holding the position of a chairman of a committee is another thing.
Okay, so I'm asking the fact that this is the first time you are holding the position of a chairman.
Exactly so.
Right. Would you agree with me from your narrative that prior to the Thursday meeting, you were prejudiced against the minority?
It is far from that.
Why did you say we should
not.
go and look at their faces on the Tuesday proceedings?
Well, the whole thing emanated from Tuesday, and the actual rioting started on that Tuesday. I said so because over the publication, we have taken a decision at conclave to deal with the issue. So I was highly surprised that we'll resolve that at conclave. Then we'll come to the sitting, and a member at conclave will be hitting the table that there will be no vetting. There will be no vetting. There will be no vetting. That is why I'm saying that I am surprised about certain turn of events. Because for me, if I agree to do something with you, why would I change my mind all of a sudden and come and be doing something different?
Yeah, I think you have said so, that you are a man of your own words. You don't want you to be taken unaware of the things that you've agreed on from the onset. And so maybe my vice chair will be guided as he asks the next question.
I know Bedan very well. You said along the line, minority leader called, you received a phone call that Honorable Akando should be added to the list of the nominees that we're going to engage on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm speaking on oath, and this is confirmed.
I have no reason to doubt you.
Yes.
My next question is that when
yes,
you
let me conclude my answer. Yes, and this was followed by his directive to the minority whip, who also called the clerk of the committee that Akando should be added.
Now, when you received this call, did you inform the rest of the committee members that you were going to deal with Honorable Akando on that day?
Well, thank you very much. We have chairman and we have ranking. And you know, chairman leads the majority side and ranking leads the minority side. So what I did was to inform my members in the morning that Akando will be added. And then properly, the minority leader also communicated with his members, leading to the minority whip placing a call to the clerk of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, did you find out whether the minority side had been communicated to so far as this additional nominee was concerned?
Well, I do not expect to reach an agreement with the minority leader, out of which the minority whip will call the clerk, and the rest of the members may not be aware. But I'm not in a position to tell whether the other two have been informed, because there were 4 on the committee. So 2 was involved. So it's left with the other 2.
Mr. Chairman, with a little patience, the scaffold that we witnessed could have been prevented. You agree with me on that?
100%.
Now, the case of the minority was that they were being surprised. Were you surprised to hear that they were being ambushed?
I will be highly surprised. Highly, highly surprised.
Severally, you
Because
mentioned...
I said so because some of the changes that were made, the minority leader and the whip has instances of making their input on the table. And maybe probably the clerk of the committee will be able to produce that particular record, because when we agreed, then I would then instruct the clerk that this is what we have agreed upon. So the clerk should have some of those arrangements that were altered by ticking and cancellation, and they can subject it to a forensic to establish that it is in the handwriting of the minority leader and sometimes the whip, the minority whip.
You have said repeatedly that you had gone into conclave with the committee. How many people did you agree to vet on that Thursday?
That Thursday, original list that was not altered was 3. But because we didn't work on Wednesday, the agreement was that they should merge the 2. And after merging the 2, we realized that it is 8. I will not be able to do the 8. So we've taken a decision to do the first 5. And there was a follow-up call that we should add a candle, making 6.
So what about Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa? He was supposed to be the 7th person?
Honorable members, Okujeto Ablakwa was one of the original people to be vetted on Thursday. So if you see his letter slated Thursday.
Honorable First Deputy Speaker, you just mentioned that during your conclave meetings, you've agreed to add Honorable Akando. That will make it 6. And so Honorable Okujeto, even though he has original letter slated for Thursday, because the committee agreed that you are going to have that meeting, that you agreed that Akando should be added to the 5 members who are supposed to be vetted on Wednesday, shifted to Thursday. So in a nutshell, Okujeto was not part of the second agreement that you had with your members.
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Honorable members of the committee, sometimes some of the nominees take less than 1 hour before us. So the instruction to the clerk of the committee is that she should hold the list of the 8. If you are able to go beyond the 6, then they could also be taken. Because sometimes it's difficult to predict the length of time that the committee will take to vet one person. And having watched the videos, you can agree with me that some people were vetted 45 minutes, less than 1 hour, they are also vetted. So if we are able to use the same approach, it is possible we could even say that, oh, we want to vet 6 people, but looking at the time that we have finished the vetting, is it possible to take the additional 2, meaning that the whole list is exhausted? So we didn't have a block mind on that, going beyond the 6. We never had a block mind on that. And as a matter of fact, if we had even started early, and that was, we didn't have a block mind on that, going beyond the 6. We never had a block mind on that. And as a matter of fact, if we had even started early, and there was no 1 hour delay, we could have even done more than the 6.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the chaos engendered because of poor planning by the committee.
Well, I am of exception in the sense that how could poor planning lead to an arrangement of a timetable?
I say poor planning because as of 8 p.m., we still had And according to the list and what we have received, you still had 2 nominees waiting with their followers, their chiefs, their relatives, and whatnot as of 8 p.m.
Honorable member, I indicated before the committee that our target is 6. The rest would have been a surplus to the committee, depending upon the way the time was used.
So, it's not my last one. So you say the 6 were, you had planned to vet 6, and 2 more were waiting. So if you had finished, or you were supposed to do the 8 in all. So it was, if we are able to, then the others would be vetted. And therefore you had invited all the nominees to come with their followers.
Honorable member, clearly speaking, because of the backlog, the number went to 8. But before the backlog, the nominees were written to. They were given letters. So it is not the case that we have agreed on the 6 and again issued letter for 2 to be on standby. The number was as a result, because when we agreed on the timetable for the week, the clerk was instructed to give letters according to the calendar agreed upon, according to the program, and then the time frame. So the clerk has already communicated that to them. And it was the 8th for that day was as a result of the backlog, which we'll have to deal with. So it's not the case that they have been written a letter after the backlog to say that we have deliberately invited 8 when we know we can only deal with 6.
You insisted when, according to you, some of the minority leaders told you that they were having a caucus meeting, and then you on your own found out that there was no caucus meeting. At that point, you went ahead to do the vetting without the minority. Is that correct?
No, it is far from that. Honourable members, I waited and I entered the vetting room exactly at 10 o'clock. That they changed the 9 o'clock to. So we commenced proceeding that day around 10:25.
So if you started on the time that you agreed on, why are you telling us that they said they were going for a caucus meeting and they didn't have a caucus
Honorable
meeting? What is the relevance of that?
The point that I am making is that the scheduled time was 9 o'clock. So around 8:45, I received a call to rather shift the time to 10 o'clock. And for me, a decision to have a caucus may not be taken the very morning. I have been a member of the caucus. How do you reach out to your caucus members to attend meeting? So I became surprised. Yet, I have decided to accommodate by shifting the commencement of the vetting from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And by 10 o'clock, I walk into the vetting room. And we commence vetting around 10:25.
Oh, Mr. Chair, what I'm saying is that, don't you think you would have presented it better if you had said that we initially agreed at 9, but later we agreed to commence proceedings at 10. But we started at 10, but some of the members of the minority were late. Don't you think that would have been better?
Honorable Animedu Entry, it will
Please
interest you.
Address the chair.
Honorable Chairman, it will interest you to know that sometimes we would agree to start vetting at 9 o'clock. The majority side will come and be waiting for the minority side.
Well,
you can watch all the proceedings.
Honorable Speaker, even today we agreed to start at 10, but we start at 10:30.
Yes.
So it's possible.
Yes.
Relax. This is a friendly chat.
I'm more than relaxed.
Honorable Nyimedu, this is your last question.
Well, I will not ask the question again, but I will advise my brother as the chair that with little restraint, I would want the chairman to be very accommodating, and then we can have a free life. Thank you.
This is a free advice.
Thank you very much, but with the free advice, I want to place on record that I have been very tolerant and accommodative.
I know.
As a result of which the general public even have the feeling that my level of tolerance was too much, that I was even weak.
I know the two of you have been friends.
We are brothers.
And you are brothers. So whether you are tolerant or not tolerant, the two of you know each other. And so please, let's keep it like that. On that note, First Deputy Speaker, we want to discharge you. Thank you very much for attending upon this committee. We will now take Honorable...
Thank you very much for having me.